I'm trying as best I can to make sure the game I'm wanting to watch is active, but it doesn't go live for a bit longer for some reason. I don't know why Apple TV is like this sometimes, but sometimes it's like that. But it is starting to get close to that time for the game anyway. Hey, so welcome to soccer, or the main football that people like to watch outside of the United States. Okay, hey, you, I'm sure y'all are probably wondering how this is supposed to work. Well, first I need to fix a little something here. There we go. So as I explained in the previous, for those of you that missed the previous stream I did, I'll run through it again. I'm mainly using the format I'm using for hockey for the score bug thing, but the main difference is here and how this is laid out. The fives are to indicate how many substitutions are allowed at a time. You're only allowed 5 substitutions. Also, the team on the left side of the scorebook is always the home team. No ands, ifs, or buts. Those are the main 2 points I made out. But what about those? What about the stuff for those who don't know what it is? Well, so they're not really called periods. You might as well say that they're 2 halves. Okay, now it's starting to kick off. Apparently, they do start it just about 5 minutes before the game starts. Oops. I try to prevent the game from being picked up by the mic, but it does happen sometimes. It's mainly due to audio stuff and blah 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 blah. But so the way it works, this is basically the football of all footballs. You literally kick around a round ball and kick it into the net to score a goal. Each half goes on for about 45 minutes. The clock does not stop. It does not count down. It counts up. And it does not stop for any reason. If there is any if they have to stop it after after they stop play for a certain number of times during this stretch, they'll allot extra time to ensure that 45 minutes has been played. The first 45 minutes goes from 0 to 45 plus the extra time. Second half goes from 45 to 90, then the extra time. There is no overtime. So after 90 minutes, then extra time. Who if the game is tied at the end of that 90 minutes, the game ends in a draw. Both teams get 1 point. But if it ends with a team winning, the winning team earns 3 points and the losing team earns nothing. So how am I going to keep track of their records? I'm basically going to go full NFL with it. The leftmost 0 indicates the number of wins. The middle 0 represents the number of losses. And the number on the right indicates how many times there's been a draw. Get used to seeing numbers in the draw spot. It's going to happen quite a bit. There are also breaks in between, and it's a weekly schedule format. So I'm not going to be covering in the Atlanta United every week. I'll do the NFL thing for that too. I'll pick a random game each week that I'll be able to do. And there are penalties as well as with any sport. The way that the penalties are handed out is dependent on the kind of penalty. If the kind of pen, if it's there are penalty kicks that are given for certain kinds of penalties. You got your offsides like you would in hockey and the NFL. You also have your flagrants. The way these flagrants are given out is by usage of cards. A yellow card means it's not a severe foul, but it's your first foul towards disqualification. If you get a second yellow, that means you automatically get a red card, which is meaning you're ejected. And the team has to play down a man the rest of the game. They cannot sub in for yellow. They cannot sub in to replace the red unless I think it's a goalie. But who knows? Also, if the penalty is deemed severe enough, you skip the yellow and go straight to red, and your night's done. Your team plays down a man. There, so I think I summed up everything that needs to be known on a simplistic front. Of course, with every sport, it's complicated. Also, oh yeah, there is one more thing. Unlike other soccer leagues or football leagues in general, there are playoffs, and there is no promotion relegation. The way it works, the top 7 teams of each conference make it into the playoffs by default. The top 4 of the conference all host playoff games in a best of 3 in the first round, with the highest remaining ones hosting in the remaining single knockout. The 8th and ninth place teams have to play a play-in game where 9 visits 8 for the final spot. So there is an actual championship. But what I am also going to do, just like in hockey, I'll bring up who is in at net for each side because you gotta have a goalkeeper. For Cincinnati, and at net is Roman Celentano. For Atlanta, it's Lucas Hoyles. And I will be keeping track of each thing that comes up throughout the game. So you'll be able to actually hear me bring up if anybody gets subbed at any point and whatnot. I do have the MLS app where I can actually pay attention to do so. If you guys would like to watch it, it's available on Apple TV. If you have a subscription to it, you can watch it just fine. I pretty much got Apple TV for this. And you do not have to pay for MLS Pass anymore. They restructured the deal. It will now expire at the end of the 2027-28 season. Not the way I phrase that. Well, that's because this season's the final season in which they're doing a February to about November, December format. It'll be interesting to see how I try to balance this between hockey and NFL. But we're doing it. We're gonna be doing it. And don't worry if it's not starting on time, they usually start a little bit later than you a lot of time anyway. In fact, most leagues do. It's all that the time is just there for the TVs. And it's basically the estimated time as to when they're supposed to start the entire thing. That's all it is. Just when they're supposed to start the entire thing. Just a few minutes ago, was the first game of the season in St. Louis hosting Charlotte. That game ended in a draw for both. A big save from the goaltender on Charlotte's end kept St. Louis out of the net and forced the draw. And Inter Miami are the defending champs. Go figure. Who saw that one coming? Of course, they would be the defending champs. And you'll notice as we go through this, there are some teams playing in a football stadium, well, an NFL stadium. It's not often. Basically, the way they go about it is, depending on your market, the first few years will sometimes be in an NFL stadium. or a college football stadium until you get your own digs. Cincinnati does have their own digs, but Atlanta United basically had their stadium built for them. What do I mean by that? Mercedes-Benz Stadium was technically built to be multi-purpose because not only does their founder, not only does their founder also own the Falcons, but they also share the stadium. They, so it was so technically Mercedes-Benz Stadium is supposed to be built for the Falcons in mind, but it was also built in a way to allow for Atlanta United to have soccer games in their own stadium without having to worry about building their own digs. And for those, and also there are other teams. Seattle, the Seattle Sounders currently play at Lumen. They're where the Seahawks are. But I think they might be trying to get their own stadium themselves. That was from what I heard. I don't know if they're owned by the same people or not, but something worth mentioning. The New England Revolutions share a stadium with the New England Patriots in the form of Gillette. That is because Robert Kraft owns both the teams. So if you hate the Patriots, you're gonna hate the New England Revolution. I don't make the rules. It's how the sports world works. The newest example of this is Charlotte. They're owned and founded by David Tepper. Yeah, make a joke about that there. But the game is underway. Atlanta is wearing their home uniforms, with Cincinnati wearing their whites. By the way, there will be a break for the FIFA World Cup because that's going to be occurring soon in the United States, no less. What better timing to have your final season under the current format than with the FIFA World Cup right in a few months? So Atlanta does win the free kick. It was uh, actually they both won free kicks. So few mishaps. I'm trying to get things sorted out here, but Cincinnati will be are wearing their white jerseys to open up the season with Atlanta having to wear their home uniforms. I'll just leave this on the key events for right now. It'll mainly show me the substitutions and stuff, but not every time there's an offside or a free kick. And let's be honest, you guys want the key moments. There are certain rules regarding the hands as well. Only the goalie can make use of their hands at within a certain zone because they're the goalkeeper. And you can only use your hands when you're throwing a ball back into play. So oh yeah, the you will notice that the goalies wear different colored uniform than every than the rest of their team. Basically, to make it easier for you to tell, yep, that's the goalie. You can definitely tell it's the goalie, alright. You can definitely tell it's the goalie. Hoyles help, helping pass around the ball for Atlanta. And they're gonna blow that one dead for a foul. A little bit. That was a bit of a misstep on Cincy. They do flop around a lot. Don't worry. You'll see plenty of flops for those of you that like to see the flops. No, they ain't that much better at trying to complain. And that is saved. By Celentano. I have to remember the names. Maybe all of it is better. That way I know. I'm learning on how to do this on the fly, okay? Atlanta making it down the field. Looking for the opening. That is saved by Celentano. Right into his hands. Oh yeah, they're showcasing the head coaches, Pat Noonan for Cincy. Technically they're managers, but don't tell that to Americans. Really like their Americanization. The thing of it, baseball don't exactly have head coaches, but rather managers. Hmm. Wonder what's going on there? Wait till somebody calls them out for not being American enough. You know how it is. And on this free kick, Atlanta is not going to be able to have possession. It's Cincinnati, but it's going to be kicked out of bounds. And there's Gerardo Martino entering his first season as head coach of Atlanta. Here's Celentino looking to kick it out, and he does. And that's going to be a free kick for Cincy. Remember, time keeps going no matter what. It'll be a lot into extra time, or stoppage time, as is known. It'll go by pretty fast, as you'll. It's definitely trying to grow. But the play, I think, is gonna stop a little bit. I think. Yeah, they're on replay, so they stopped it. I think he may have had something happen to his calf. So they're gonna be going on. I think he may have had his leg cramp up a little. I think he'll be alright. It's just that when you play a sport like this, it's not uncommon that you have injuries for cramps. Your legs do cramp up from that kind of stuff. They can and will cramp up. Just depends on other stuff. But if it's serious enough to where they're having to get their next player ready, they might be getting ready to sub. Yeah, they're looks like they're gonna sub. That's Evander da Silva Ferreira. That's gonna be escorted off. They'll take a look. From the way he went down, it seemed like it was just a cramp, but non-contact injuries do happen, and we least expect it. Yeah, there's the sub right there. So Gerardo Valenzuela is gonna enter the game, and as a result of a substitution, or first of the game due to injury. He wouldn't be able to get up under his own power like he wouldn't be able to walk like that if it was that serious of an injury. I think he'll likely be fine and ready for the next game based on the way he's able to get up and stuff. It looked like maybe something cramped up or something. Possible. Leg cramps are to be expected when you're having to run around and kick a ball. But you never can tell. But you never. I don't know how they handle their injuries like that. Okay, it was a non. It was. It was a non-contact injury. Apparently, since he was already missing Matt Miazga, which is not what I would expect to see occur. So, from the angle that I was seeing, he was still able to move uh, enough to where he didn't have to overly rely on the trainers. So I think it's possible that it could be just as simple as a cramp. I ain't gonna worry too much about it. We'll see what comes out as the game, as the build up to their next game progresses. So Finland officially takes the bronze. Good to know. Finland in Olympic hockey takes the bronze. Definitely good to know. Just trying to keep track and whatnot. Should be able to connect the stuff just fine at this point. Kind of think about it. What if I just use my MacBook over here? Wouldn't that be easier? Pull stuff up on? That way it doesn't get hot, so hot in my hand. Where's the shot? I'm getting the MacBook. Getting this here. And keep in mind, the main reason why the FIFA World Cup is being hosted by 3 different countries like this is because most of the stadiums are already built. Most of the proposed stadiums were already built. They just need to undergo a few renovations. So it's not like the facilities aren't there. But the FIFA World Cup mandates that they cannot play on turf. It has to be grass. And there's the save. Again. So far, neither side has been able to punch their way in. It looked like a push. That part looked like a push. Talking about the distance covered. Yeah, like distance covered. It's gonna help any. They're looking and 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 looking. Here we go. This is the I just wanted to see the feed. So it looks like it might be slightly slower on the laptop. But I gotta make do with what I can here. And love sting. Love sting. Get the bunch of sting. And by the way, we are past the halfway mark. There we got ourselves a yellow card, the first one of the game. Brian Ramirez is shown. It's a free kick for Miguel Almiron. That foul was severe enough to warrant a yellow for Brian Ramirez. That's his first one for. That's his first yellow card for disqualification. Remember, he cannot get a second yellow, or else he'll get the red. But it'll be a free kick for Miguel Almiron. I like how it just shows me the full names like this. That way I know who I'm talking about. Plus, it gives me a chance to do some funny pronunciations. Or bad pronunciations, depending on who you ask. Ooh. So it's actually not that much of a time difference. That's good to know. Oh, jeez, I'm getting the hiccups. That is the end of the stand. Ugh. Can I not? Oh, yeah. There, Miami gets to be victims of Walmart. Ugh. It's just how boring and predictable well it was for them to win the cup with how stupid, unnecessarily broken their team was. And now, and apparently, Brian Ramirez is not done being fouled. With the rate he's being fouled, he might end up with another yellow. Like he's asking to become the next person to find themselves with a Disney Channel show themed around a bunch of live action people who don't know what they're talking about. Other than the power of friendship and magic. No, wait, that's My Little Pony. But yeah, they do call offsides. That ball sent backwards to Hoyles, who is pressured. So it's gonna go back. So it's that didn't end well. Hoyles is gonna just gently toss the ball out and then kick it. Hope so it doesn't go all that far. Cincinnati, Cincy trying to keep up with the pressure, but that's gonna be knocked out of bounds. That's gonna be a corner. It's gonna be a corner shot for Cincy. Looking for the net. No, it just goes all the way across the field. Not the way by Atlanta. Cincy trying to keep up with the pressure. And they can't get the opening they wanted. They get stopped dead in their tracks. And they're going to be forced to regroup with Salentano. Cincy, no. That is just not going to find its way towards the net. And that's also going to go out of bounds. Imagine having part of your name be latte. You know how many coffee jokes that'd be? You know how many coffee jokes there would have been made out of that? Coffee, 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 coffee. A lot of the pressure has been coming from Cincy. It'd be nice to know where the offsides lines are. Not gonna lie. That went right across. And Hoyos just kicked it way down. And Cincy making their way back up. Back into the hands of back into the feet of Atlanta is really what I should be saying. If I want to be politically correct. Back to the feet of Atlanta. No, that sounds weird. Politically correct, but weird. Makes it sound like you're having a fetish over feet. Is that what we got going on over here? Is there somebody with a foot fetish? And now Atlanta is hoping to try to initiate some pressure. Maybe the offside line is wherever the ref is. That would make more sense. Hoyos picks up the ball. Pick the throw. Oh, in. And he's just gonna punt it. Cincy taking back control over the ball. Turned over. It's with Atlanta. No, it's back with Cincy. Get across the field. Oh, it's a pretty wide field, so they can afford to kick across. It's tied 1-2 in his first half. And that is going to end up in the hands of Hoyles. So based on the reports I'm seeing, it probably would have been offsides. Remember, they were talking about available substitutes, but remember, Cincy has already used up one substitute. They're going to do it another 4 times. A little bit of back and forth here involving some back and forth going on here. Not what I guess Celentano wasn't happy with something. I don't think Cincy is all that happy with something. Yeah, there's Celentano having to. So I wonder. Well, I don't get. I don't get what they're trying to take issue with. I don't know what it was they were trying to take issue with. I don't get it. But it will be a kick attempt for Atlanta. And nope, there was already a defender right there, ready to go. Oh, they fouled. They fouled Celentano. That's what they were taking issue with. Celentano got fouled. Huh. I did not see that before. Apparently it's now registered. Oh, that is quite the interesting thing to do. Was that a bump right into the referee? I did not have that on my calendar. An atrocious passing game. You don't say. Welcome to me watching the Iceman play. And I think they're going to call a foul there. Yep, they did. They saw play, they called a foul. It'll be alright. You want to talk about a passing game? The fuck is a passing game? It's like some mumbo jumbo thing. Seriously, it's like some mumbo jumbo. And we're already getting some pushing and shoving here. Before they get even. There's the kick, and it's way over. That is way over the net. Then it was offsides. That shot went way above. What is this? My average gameplay? Oh yeah, since I was talking about hockey earlier, apparently there was a full line brawl in Fort Wayne, Norfolk yesterday. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. It was a full line brawl. There was like in the second period at 10:28. There was an initial fight against Austin Magera for Fort Wayne and Grant Herbert for Norfolk. Then a bunch of other players found a dance partner. Tyler Feist, Tyler Inamoto, and Jalen Smerrick all got game misconducts for secondary altercation on Fort Wayne end. Then for the Norfolk end, Connor Frederick, Brandon Osmundson, and Andre Sutter also got game misconduct for secondary altercation. And there were suspensions. Smerrick and Osmundson are going to miss 3 games. You want to talk about how selling it on the ice? Well, there's your literal way of doing it. By the way, we are about to get stoppage time here. And nobody has yet to score a goal. No, really. Nobody has scored a goal yet. And there's Hoyos right there to cover it up. And we're still waiting to hear on how much stoppage time there will be. Still nothing. We're already on 1 minute of extra time. Hoyos is getting set up here. He's wanting to make sure this kick goes off just fine. And he gets it off. And that ends up near the stands somewhat. And I guess it was just 2 minutes. So maybe there wasn't really. So it was really 2 minutes of stoppage time. Just about. And there it is. Close to 2 minutes of stoppage time. It is now gonna go into intermission. As nobody has yet to score in this game. You'll start seeing your substitutions in the second. But I need a little bit of a break. I'll be back. They're gonna do their little halftime thing. While they're doing their little halftime report thing, yeah, thanks for telling me about that. You're just gonna give me much of anything to work with here. Are you about to start for the second half? I'm seeing that they're about to come back for the second half. Yeah, they're about to come out for the second half. Yep, it's underway. I'll try to pay attention as much as I can. It's like a little back and forth thing right now. They're trying to get. Everyone's still trying to get things through the net right now. Yeah, I'm playing through this little impact here. I have yet to see an actual goal take place. Trying to keep track as much as possible. Pretty much nobody knows how to actually handle a defense. Nobody's been able to actually score. But there was a yellow card for Thomas Jacob above Atlanta. So he's got his first. Still trying to get sorted out stuff. Still nothing. Yeah, you gotta get through. No. Nobody's been able to do much. Still. Sorry if I've been rather quiet. I'm trying to bounce back and forth on stuff here. It's been hard to try to keep track. But yeah, there still hasn't been much. Just been a lot of the same here. More saves all over the place. Yay, it's always more saves. One of these. Remember, if it remains scoreless, it's just a draw. And I think that's a yellow. Yeah, that's a yellow card for Steven Alzade. That's the third one that's been given out today. Second for Atlanta. That one almost found itself in a prime destination. There's still nothing. I can tell it's still nothing's changed. I've just been focusing on my own little thing. See, it always feels like I'm just focusing on my own little thing because it just out of boredom. And we're still not seeing much of anything. That looks like it's gonna hurt. That looks like it's gonna hurt. Man, there have been so many close calls. Man, man, if it weren't for that defender, that would have been a goal. Yeah, they're still not exactly. What I was expecting. Nobody has. Well, there have been some substitutions. Two of them made by Cincy. Jabari is out for Barlow, and Adaby is out for Flores. They've used two at this point. That's well, they got two left anyway. And Atlanta also makes a bit of a change. Their first I think that's their first substitution, unless I missed one. No, that is their first substitution. That's Sanchez coming off for Muyumba. And then there's another substitution for Atlanta off. Labjans is off for Ranchuk. Everyone's trying to go for that aggressiveness. Who's gonna break? Will anybody break? I don't know. I can't seem to tell. It's crazy to me. They're still not giving me much of anything to talk about here. Is there anything I should be noticing about? No? Nothing? Alright. Sit yourself. So we had three subs. This is where all the substitutions get used up. I know that. But nobody has yet to get on the board. You can tell I was having a little bit more fun playing the Impact, trying to get caught up on that story. It's definitely been quite the back and forth here. The ball's back in play now. Atlanta trying to get some magic going. You can't seem to. Here's Cincinnati. And that error from Hoyos leads to the opportunity to score at home. Cincinnati strikes first. Off a goalie error. A goalie error. What leads to the score? Given how much of a slog it's been on both sides, that may have been the break that was needed. It's Jonathan Denke who scores the first goal of the season for Cincy. And I can imagine the frustration and on this opening day. And we're getting a substitution for Atlanta. Brennan will be is subbing in for Alzade. That's their third substitution. Not every game will feature teams using all five. And all kinds of issues flagging up this early. Into the season. And time winds down. And is that an air? Oh no, that was so close. And that's a player for the Atlanta down. That was almost a free. It was called offsides, but he almost had that one. That was a collision with the goalie. That was almost a breakaway. It's just gonna not be. Is Cincy about to go back up on the board? No. It'll be a corner. Here, Atlanta, this is a disappointing start. And we're going to see a substitution for Cincy. They're down to their last one. Unless they're just going to do another substitution. In right here and now. Yep, they're going to do another one. That's all their substitutions. That is it for their substitutions. Ekning is going to be switched out for Powell. And Valenzuela is going to be switched out for Nuobodo. Here it is off the corner. And it's straight in. Straight in. 2-0 for Cincy. That might have been a dagger. That is pretty much the dagger. Now, that is pretty much the dagger for this game here. Nick Haglund gets the header from the corner. And now we had just 7 minutes of stoppage time. Atlanta would need some miracles for this to actually be a tie game. But that goal may have been the dagger. And that is way over the net. Then we spot a dagger. At least I can actually learn the names better here. if you think about it. Not, no, again, I was learning a good bit of names in hockey. These are the kinds of sports where you get to learn the names and how they're pronounced. Quite the variety here. Wait, did I say variety? I meant to say, what a bad start for Atlanta right now. If I'm Atlanta, I'm wondering what I'm doing. I should have my next soccer one figured out. It's already slated for March 1st. But I should have my final decision ready around that. Around the time I cover Bruins Phantoms. Should have that ready. Here we go. We need your star players. But this is definitely one of those types of games where I be wondering what went wrong. Yeah, I hope I didn't confuse any of you watching with titles and stuff. Well, Atlanta will now get a shot in a corner. Then out of bounds around. There's your next corner. And a wide. Miss wide right. Hey, it sounds like the Buffalo Bills. Maybe that's what they are in disguise. I had to do it to you. And now, Celentano. Oh, kicked it all the way to the center. In this final minute of stoppage time. Chances for the first goal of the season? Not today. Gonna fall apart in the second half. And no desperation is gonna save you. And that's the end. Cincy opens up with a bang, gets the full 3 points to open up this MLS season. 2-0. As Atlanta, they're just hoping to survive. And they're giving player of the match to Miles Robinson for FC Cincinnati. He definitely had his fair share of moments. And I can definitely say, definitely was a way to watch a sport. I'll definitely be doing more. Weekly, of course. But until next time, travel safely. Enjoy, everyone.